Dead Island 2 PC system requirements reveal surprisingly low barriers to entry. Earlier this year, Dambuster Studios revealed Dead Island 2 will make its debut on April 21st, so a week on Friday. Now, the studio has revealed the PC specs players will need to get the game up and running when the time finally comes for us all to dive into the zombie-riddled shores. So, without further ado, here are Dead Island 2's PC specs, from minimum all the way up to ultra. Minimum, 1080p 30 frames per second. Windows 10. AMD FX-9590 or Intel Core i7-7700HQ. 10GB RAM. AMD Radeon RX 480 or Nvidia GTX 1060. 70GB storage. Recommended, 1080p 60 frames per second. Windows 10. AMD Ryzen 5 5600X or Intel Core i9-9900K. 16GB RAM. AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT or Nvidia RTX 2070 Super. 70GB storage. High, 1440p 60 frames per second. Windows 10. AMD Ryzen 7 7700X or Intel Core i5-12600KF. 16GB RAM. AMD Radeon RX 6750 XT or Nvidia RTX 3070. 70GB storage. Ultra, 4K 60 frames per second. Windows 10. AMD Ryzen 9 7900X or Intel Core i7-13700K. 16GB RAM. AMD Radeon RX 6950 XT or Nvidia RTX 3090. 70GB storage. Despite supporting up to 3-player co-op, Dead Island 2 will not be playable across platforms. Players on the same platform with different consoles, PS4/PS5, Xbox One/Xbox Series S/X, can still play together, though. Deep Silver says it will talk more about crossplay and co-op later. The game targets 60 FPS on current-gen consoles and 30 FPS on previous-gen. For PC players, Dead Island 2 asks for at least an AMD FX-9590/Intel Core i7-7700HQ processor, Radeon RX 480/GeForce GTX 1060 graphics card, 10GB RAM and 70GB of hard drive space. This configuration can run the game at 1080p 30 FPS with a few settings cranked down. A 1080p 60 FPS experience demands an AMD Ryzen 5 5600X/Intel Core i9-9900K, 16GB RAM, and a GeForce RTX 3070 Super/Radeon RX 6600 XT. The system requirements ramp up quite a bit after this. Dead Island 2 requires an AMD Ryzen 7 7700X/Intel Core i5-12600KF and an AMD Radeon RX 6750 XT/GeForce RTX 3070. Finally, those looking to run the game at 4K will need an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X/Intel Core i7-13700K paired with a Radeon RX 6950 XT/GeForce RTX 3090. Other Dead Island 2 features include support for all previous and current-gen controllers and an inbuilt streamer mode that blocks copyrighted music. For AI upscaling, only FSR2 is supported, with no word about DLSS.